Hi everyone, my friends call me Mr.T, and the crazy guy you see on the quad bike having a blast, that's me. Alright, so you're planning a vacation to a developing country, and of course you want your trip to be amazing yet still safe and headache free, so you can return with great memories and even higher confidence for traveling abroad in the future. Well, all of this is definitely possible, especially if you follow the advice of well-versed travelers and experienced expats. At the moment, we're visiting the north coast of Dominican Republic, and in this episode I'll be sharing both my own travel tips as well as talking to different travelers and expats to gain their knowledge so your future vacations can be both safe and fun. Hi everyone, okay, I've had my fun, so let's get into things. Let's talk about airport taxes and transportation. When you arrive in the country, there's a $10 airport tax, and when you go to leave again, there's a $20 fee that you have to pay, but that's usually built into your ticket price. For transportations, in most airports you're going to find buses and taxis waiting outside, except in Puerto Plata you'll find there's only taxis, and they would cost you about $25 to $50 depending on where you want to go. If you want something cheaper than that, then you can also walk to the highway 300 meters away, and there's taxi públicos running forwards and backwards between Sosua, Cabarete and Puerto Plata. And they're about 50 to 100 pesos each to take. Next up, we're going to talk to a very experienced traveler who's been to over 20 countries on the planet. His name's Johnny, about medical tips and safety tips for your personal items. At the moment, we're with one of the nicest guys who visits Sosua. Johnny, thanks for being with us.
Hey, Mr. T, good to be here.
Good. Johnny, he's an extremely well-traveled expat, and he's going to share a little bit of advice with us on visiting these regions.
Yeah, I can talk the talk because I've walked the walk, Mr. T. Everything from, let's just say you fly into let's go with third world countries. A little different than traveling up in North America or Europe. Third world countries, you have to take certain precautions. We can start with just some simple, let's go with medical, for example. Of course, if you have insurance or something, that's another subject, but always good to have an insurance. But I carry a small kit with me, depending upon where I'm going, of first aid. For example, I travel throughout Africa. Been to 18 countries in Africa, lived in several of those. And I carry a small kit with me, from everything from anti-malaria pills, so I won't catch malaria, to the 3-day regimen of pills that I would take if I did get malaria. My point is, wherever you go, be a little bit savvy about what you could catch and what you might want to do for it, because you're in a third world environment.
But would you actually recommend that people get an injection before they fly up?
With the exception of yellow fever, depending upon the country you go, no, yellow fever is the one that many times you have to have. They won't even let you enter the country. You'll be at the airport and they'll turn you around and send you back home.
And what about dengue? Down here, that seems to be
I can
something
speak on dengue because I had dengue last year.
Right.
It's a mosquito-borne virus. Any one of us can catch it just from a mosquito bite from a female mosquito. There's no cure for it. What they recommend is to hydrate yourself as much as you can with liquids, specifically water. In my case, I couldn't drink enough water and actually had to get an IV from a hospital with water to force in your system.
Somebody locally here told me to use the juice from papaya leaves. Have you heard of that?
I had heard papaya, but I heard guava. And I did drink a lot of guava juice. Even the hospital, correct.
And red pepper, supposedly.
And red pepper, yeah.
You blend it with water and drink the juices.
And it's supposed to reduce the fever and aching, bring it down. But
it brings the blood count up, is that correct?
The white blood cell count, correct. But it's, keep that in mind when you're traveling. Wherever you're going, this is for the traveler that's going to be maybe on a budget or traveling where there aren't a lot of hospitals and you can't either afford to spend the money for the care that you might want to have, or you're in an environment where you just don't have access to the medical care that you have. So you might want to make yourself a little kit. Everything from aspirins to Tylenol, to an extreme, like I said, the anti-malaria medicine, diarrhea medicine, there's all kinds of that. Definitely something you want to get. Let's say you're in this country.
So actually you don't need to take anything before you travel off.
No,
you just
I don't.
Make sure you have the right medicine with you in your kit.
If you happen to get a bad glass of water, local water that you can't drink, you'd want to have the pills for example, for parasites. It's a simple regimen. I think it's a 5 days worth of pills. If you drink a glass of local water by mistake, and you know it's contaminated, which most of it is, there's parasites in there, you would start those pills. It's a
so here they drink the water out of the big bottles, I see there. It comes from factories.
Yeah, distilled water. Yeah.
But you can safely brush your teeth and have a shower in the water?
Yes, yeah, but let's say you're brushing your teeth or you're in the shower, you open your mouth, you take a large gulp of water, and I'd consider wanting to maybe take some pills in case you picked up a parasite.
If I just may switch the topic to personal items and safety. So you've arrived to your hotel room. From that point onwards, what would you recommend in terms of securing your cash, your
safe
stuff?
deposit box. Safe deposit box is 100% necessary. Any third world, poor country, you must have a safe deposit box, because if you have anything laying around, such as this cell phone, which in this particular case is a very cheap cell phone, like that, and you leave it out in your room, and you have one of the local people come over who has much less than you have, and you're seen as a very, very wealthy person, they see that telephone sitting there.
So if you look away?
To pick it up, just because, not so much that they're bad people, but they feel you don't really need it, Mr.T, because you left it sitting there. And me as a poor person, I would never leave my phone sitting there, because somebody would take it and I would really need it. And I would really miss it.
Well, I have heard the expression down here, everything has legs.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
How much cash would you bring downtown if you go, or to the beach?
This rule of thumb is wonderful. Always carry what you can afford to lose and not cry about or ruin your vacation. You want to just, for example, let's say I have $25, which is what I have with me, $25 local currency. I can drop that, you can lose that, you could rob me, and that $25 is not going to
ruin you.
Interrupt my vacation at all. The guy that walks around with his iPhone in his cargo pants pocket and loses that by a guy or gal, whoever brushes up against him, it ruins his vacation. So I say that to all the guys and gals. Don't carry anything with you or leave anything out that's going to ruin your vacation.
Money belts have been around for years. Do you recommend them under the shirt?
Better than in the pocket, but I don't carry one, and I don't know. They say they have some made out of like a Kevlar type material that's hard to cut, almost impossible to open, and that might be a good thing to carry with you. The only one that would get into that belt would be if somebody stuck you up or came at you with a weapon and demanded the belt. But a normal thief on the street, girl or guy, would be difficult for them to get in something like that. Most thieves in these third world countries are what I call lazy thieves. They want to take the easiest way to get to you. They want to get your stuff easy and quick as they can. They see it locked, or there's an alarm, or there's a camera rolling. Nah, they're not going to do it. They're going to bypass it.
So they're opportunists.
Opportunists, very much. So that's my advice.
Johnny,
there.
thank you so much.
Pleasure, Mr. T.
Powerful advice there, and we'll move on. Next up, let's look into the kind of accommodation you can find down here, from staying at resorts, smaller hotels, villas, or rent. If you're looking for another alternative to accommodation during your vacation, then maybe rent a villa or part of a villa in a nice residential community like this. This is Hispaniola. Now, a lot of the owners during the low season will rent the place out for about $300 to $400, and in the high season a little bit more. For the whole villa, it could be anywhere from $700, $800, $900 or more, depending on the kind of villa you're looking at. But it's usually including maid service, pool maintenance, gardening. All you need to do is just turn up and start enjoying your vacation. Next up, we're going to talk to a Canadian traveler called Tony Rabachuk, who's going to give us his insight on how to deal with caliente girls and guys that you might be approached by down in this region. Right now, we've got the pleasure of interviewing Tony Rabachuk from Canada. Welcome along, Tony.
Yep, thank you.
Now, a lot of the single ladies and guys that travel around Central America, South America, and the Caribbean often bump into quite caliente girls or guys down here. What sort of troubles, in your opinion, can they get themselves into if they're not careful?
Well, I think with any relationship with anybody, I think it's trust. You know, coming from a domestic type of world where we trust our one another, we trust our people here, we have to follow our gut and our instinct more, I think. And the trust isn't something we can just allow and let be as peaceful as we do in our own countries. So everybody here is kind of they're after something. They're not there to be your friend, to help you do this and help you do that without something in return.
So you get a lot of this, hey amigo, or...
Yeah, you get that everywhere you go.
Yeah. So have you been approached a lot by, because you're a good-looking man, so do you get approached a lot by the ladies? Do they have the confidence just to come up and say hi?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's their bread and butter. That's what they do for their survival here. I think it's just part of the culture. They've been brought up that way, and they're in that trade that's allowed here. And the tourists, they understand that. They know that. They come here. Some of them come here just for that, and they take advantages of those services, and it's a win-win for both parties, I guess.
Is it more on the north coast here, or is it right throughout the Dominican Republic?
I think the north coast is primarily the feature spot for the more of the party life and the nightlife and the girls.
All right. And Tony, when it comes to paying for things, is it the tourist pays everything if you hang around with a new friend from down here?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's something that has to be negotiated. But ideally, they're not a wealthy bunch of people, and if they're out on the beaches or they're out confronting you, they're looking for something. They're it's just basic survival out here. So be expected to pay the bill.
So it'd be smart to negotiate up front on what the deal is.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're not willing to spend any money, then don't take on anything, and just say no and keep moving.
And if it did go wrong, because you hadn't negotiated up front, what's their behavior in your opinion?
Well, they could be somewhat aggressive, just in a verbal sense, or body language and what have you. So they have expectation. If you're going to take them on and hang out with them or what have you, they want some money. So if you don't negotiate, then it's your fault. It's like any business deal, no matter where you're at, you need to know what's going on.
And when it comes to having them visit your accommodation, is that smart, or should you not do that?
Once again, that's you've got to use your gut and your intuition, to invite them to your place, understanding that you can't judge a book by the cover and expect. If you're going to keep something out in the open and you can afford to lose it, expect it to be gone. Not all the time, but, chances are high that things will go missing before things show up.
And if somebody got invited to visit their family members out in the campo, out in the poorer areas, is that dangerous? Would you recommend it or not? Or
I would say, you'd be safe in those areas for most part. You probably might not want to set up shop and stay overnight or anything, but for the culture, just to get out and experience it, I would definitely say you'd be safe up there. Just be cautious. And again, if you're going to bring all your money and you do get stopped by somebody who comes out of the bush or what have you, be expected to lose that. So just bring what you can afford to lose.
And would you say that's more likely to happen in the daytime and nighttime? Somebody
in the daytime, you'll be pretty. Your chances are very slim to none you know. But nighttime is open game. It's just like in any big city, it's the same thing, you know. They come out at night, right?
And now you're speaking particularly about Dominican Republic. This could of course be different in Venezuela, Colombia, or other places, yeah?
Well, absolutely. Every culture is different. I can't, you know, I haven't traveled extensively enough to, you know, to describe every culture out there. But here in the Dominican, the North Coast that I've experienced, you know, there's fluctuation everywhere, but you've got to be on guard.
Would you say many guys easily fall in love with these girls because of their very flattering, confident kind of behavior?
Well, they're exotic beauties. I mean, these women here are just naturally beautiful, and you know, the exterior is one thing, interior is a little bit different. They're not brought up like we are in the domestic world. It's so you got to keep in check again. You know, follow your gut, follow your instinct. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So
and how would you test? Sorry to butt in. How do you test if somebody could potentially be a bad apple? Is there anything you can do to sort of test them a little bit?
Well, you know, it's like anybody, I guess. It's just spending time, you know, spending a little bit of time, asking some questions. You know, if you wanted to leave and make it, you know, set up a trap here and there, maybe just leave a little bit of money out, see if something goes missing or whatever. I mean, sometimes you just got to do that just to see where you stand with somebody, where the trust level is.
Somebody else I spoke to mentioned about testing them with a no and see how they handle rejection. If they come and very quickly, before maybe even asking your name, and ask for a drink or something, what do you think of that?
Right. Well, you know, you've got so many hustlers up and down the beach, and all the vendors here, for example, that a lot of them, you know, there is a lot of no gracias. You're telling everybody no, but for the actual hustlers that are following you, they're hounding you, and you keep saying no. Yeah, you can tell by their body reaction, what they're you know, how they look back at you, eye contact, that type of thing, and you know, facial expressions and body language. So that'll tell the tale right there in itself. So you might want to stay clear from someone like that.
Tony, fantastic. Thanks for being with us. Great advice.
Thank you so much.
Back in our home countries, we just pay the prices that we see on items. In the Caribbean, you got to barter. I'm going to go now and try to barter the price down on a hat. I need something to protect my bald head. What's your name? Carlos. Mr.T, they call me.
Oh, right.
You got hats here?
I got a nice hat here. You like that one?
Yeah. You seem a bit small. Okay, what's your best price on this?
My best price I've got 600 this one again.
600?
Yeah, 600. That's the original one, man. Look. That's the good one.
What's it made of?
What?
What's it made of? Kana?
Yeah,
string? Nylon?
Nylon.
Nylon.
Yeah.
I think I've seen hats around much cheaper than that. I'll give you 200 pesos, that's about
Come on, man. 20 pesos away, man. Come on, make something more nice. It'll be good for you.
It's alright, I'll look around. 200.
Come on. That's nice, man. Let's 500 pesos. Let's 500.
I'll give you 3. You think about it. 300. Good price.
Come on. You get it.
300?
Yes.
Sure?
Yeah.
Right. Maybe I'll buy other things another day. 300 pesos. You got change?
I think so.
Oh, hang on. That's great. 300. Sold to the guy with the bald head.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Carlos, good to meet you.
Okay.
Now protect you.
Yeah.
Next up, we're going to talk to a hardened expat called Gilbert Schneider, who will give us an insight as to how to deal with the Dominicans. This morning we are with Gilbert Schneider to give us a little insight on how to deal with Dominicans and Haitians. Welcome along, Gilbert.
Hey,
Good to have you here. What's the trick to get on with Dominicans and Haitians?
well, actually, just accept the people like they are. Don't try to change them and stuff like this. So that's what I find out in the past, in all the years I'm here, that it's the easiest way to get along with them. Don't try to change them. Just leave them like they are. That's the easiest way.
So when you greet a Dominican or Haitian, how do they like to be greeted? Are they Because they're pretty warm sort of people, yeah?
Well, that's the kind of people, they really love to have contact with everybody else, and so they're going along and they like to shake hands and give fists and stuff like this, and they're really proud, and they're really proud people, and they really like to talk to everyone and get along with everyone. They are really easy to deal with.
Okay. So you'd say respect is a big thing to them?
It's a real big respect. It's something people, or let's say Dominican in general, they really love to be respect and all. So eye contact, for example, it's really important. Just not just go along and don't say nothing to them, or just get your head down when you see them, or just be nice to them. Really, really friendly people.
Yeah. Right. So always say hola back. Yeah.
Absolutely. You should. That's what we do at home. When somebody say hi to us, what are we going to do? We just go along and always say hi to them too.
I've seen a couple of situations where foreigners were a little bit rude, where somebody goes, amigo, and then they give a brash kind of response. What would you do if somebody yells out amigo? Because it happens quite a bit.
Dominican in general, they think, or they just treat us as friends, and so that's why they're coming up with this speech when they say hello amigo, how are you doing amigo. It's not bad meaning. A lot of gringos should do the same. That's the way it is.
But isn't it often because they are after something, they want to sell something, and then the foreigner may feel annoyed or hustled a little bit?
Foreigners usually see it as a hassle, but I don't see it that way. I see more Dominican, of course, like to have to survive somehow, and he's trying to get some money somehow. So his way to try it is by just telling you, I'm a friend. So by a friend, you never say no.
If I was a Dominican and I was yelling out, amigo, hola, amigo, what would you respond to that?
Well, I would say the same, hola, amigo. Exactly the same, because I don't think anything bad about it. I know they just want some money, but that's the way it goes.
Now, this program's primarily about having a safe trip down here, so what are some of the things that one should avoid if you are a traveler?
Well, as a traveler, we know when we go to poor countries, the worst you can do is got all your heavy or expensive equipment with you, as cameras and jewels, and show how much money you got in your pocket and all this. You should not do that. We don't do it at home, why you should do it here. Mm-hmm. And so this is actually how you provoke crimes. Yeah. So it's most of our fault when we go ahead and we show what we have. We actually provoke people or poor people to get jealous and try to get what they see, and it's a bad idea.
Okay. If you were to mention like a top 2 or 3 things that you should definitely stay clear of to keep out of trouble, what would it be?
Well, first of all, it would be friendly all the time to Dominicans, show them respect, really important. Don't do anything with drugs and stuff like this. Don't get drunk and start fighting or gelling around. People doesn't like that either. Okay, stuff like that.
Now, Gilbert, when it comes to Haitians down here, you hear a lot about the police picking them up and harassing them. What's your comments on that one?
Well, there's, policemen in this country, or let's say it like this, the government doesn't have any control of its armed forces. They do whatever they want. And the Haitians is one way to get money out of poor people without getting in trouble as Dominican. And that's what they actually do. Because if they're going to arrest some Dominicans, then they're going to call their lawyers, and the lawyers are going to do some trouble, blah, blah, blah. And so this is what they doesn't want. And so if you arrest some Haitians, then you're not in trouble at all.
So
you just can do with them whatever you want, because
exactly,
they are really abused by the government in general. When you pick them up on the road, like in the moment, immigration is really hard against foreigners in this country. So they try to get all the illegals out. I'm agreed to that. If you're illegal in the country, the government have the right to get you out of the country or get your legal status or your papers. But in general, it's not against all the foreigners. It's in general only against the Haitians, because he wants to get rid of them. It's a huge problem for the government.
Okay. And what sort of examples would there be where you see, is that just a vendor walking along the street and then the police come along and pick him up? Or?
If there's a vendor on the street, the government knows, or the policeman knows they have some little money, what they do a day. And so they arrest them just to get this little money out of them.
That would upset a lot of foreigners to see this in action, wouldn't it?
It would be. It would be, really.
Yeah. And do you think they lose tourism here because of that sort of behavior going on?
I don't think so, because then you have to live here to actually see the problems that exist in this country. Alone, just to be here 2 weeks, you on the beaches, you enjoy your 2-week holidays, you don't see behind the scenes, and that's actually the problem we have. That foreigners who's coming here just to visit us, he doesn't see what's really going on. So the country is beautiful like it is, but there's a lot of trouble behind the scenes, what the tourists not should see.
Now, Gilbert, there's been quite a bit of tension over here between Haitians and the Dominicans. How do you describe being a long-term expat here, the relationship you see between the two parties?
Well, first of all, the Dominican, they are too scared to lose their jobs because the people from Haiti are actually cheaper than everybody else. They are really good workers. But Dominican really doesn't like that part, because they know when the people from Haiti come over here and do the jobs, they definitely going to lose their job, because Dominican are not really good workers at all. So the relationship between them is really, let's say, they disagree on everything what they do. People in Haiti are really poor, and so they try to survive somehow, and the government actually tries everything to get rid of them, because he doesn't get along at all.
So do you sometimes see some tension boiling over between the Haitians and Dominicans here?
Actually not.
No?
Actually not. Dominicans, if people from Haiti is coming along and they're just walking along and they try to get a job, Dominicans actually doesn't fight against that until they have a job. Then of course Dominicans see his job going, and so he's trying to get it back somehow. So then you start argue with the Haiti, you should go back home and all that, so that they get the job. But that's the only way that I have seen problems between both.
Yeah. And how do you find Haitians?
I find them really nice people, actually. Well, let's put it this way. I even love them more than Dominicans, because they are well educated, contrary to this country.
Speak a few languages.
Speak a few languages. Really helpful people, and they are not this kind. What most people think here, the criminals in the country. They are not. Because I never got any kind of trouble with people, any at all.
Right.
Okay, I've been actually working with them together for a while and never got trouble with them at all.
So, the message seems clear. Be respectful, friendly,
Absolutely.
and polite, and you'll get on with them fine down here.
Just treat the Dominicans like your best friends, because that's what they are. Nice people.
Thanks for being with us.
Hey, you're
I
also
appreciate
welcome.
it very much. Right now we are with a nice guy called Miguel Santana. Hi Miguel.
Hi.
He's going to talk to us a little bit about safety as a traveller. Do you think it's a safe place to come here, or what would you recommend for tourists arriving here in terms of travelling around safely?
Well, it's safety place here, Puerto Plata, Sosua, Cabarete. But the most safety way, go with a local. They show you around the country, the city.
A tour guide.
As a tour guide, yeah. You can hire somebody who work in the water sport, or who work in the hotel animation guy, or work in the shop. Local people who are working in the area.
Okay.
That's the best way.
So if they ask any local, they'll point them in the right direction.
Exactly.
Okay. And how much would they pay to have a tour guide with them, say, for the day?
Well, normally people ask for $20, which is like 900 pesos.
And maybe plus a bit of food, drinks, and transportation expenses?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And if they're happy, they can pay more.
Yeah, if they're happy, they can give it more if they like it.
And Miguel, what about walking around at night? Is that safe, like at the beach or in town?
Well, so far that I see here in the town in Sosua, I'm from Puerto Plata and I've been working here 1 year. So far, I see it safety, especially walking in the main street and near where many people were the shop and other street next to the main street in Ebate.
So as long as you're walking in public, you're okay?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, getting around on the island doesn't have to be expensive if you know how to do it Dominican style. Behind me here, you see two types of public transportation. The guagua, which is like a minibus, and then the smaller sedan type car. And both types of vehicles you can cram in with a lot of people. You pay about 50, 60 pesos to get to the surrounding towns here. Cabarete is only about 10-15 minutes away. Way to travel. Behind me you'll see the big metro bus. These buses will take you anywhere in the country. If you wanted to go from, say, Sosua to Santiago, it's only about 150 pesos, and they've got plenty of space for your luggage as well. One of the most effective ways of getting through the traffic or getting around, if you don't want to rent yourself, is to hire a motoconcho guy. It's a private gentleman usually that decides to turn his motorbike into a business, like Alberto has done here. And you go up and explain where you need to go, and it's usually between 25 to 100 pesos, and then you can go pretty much anywhere you want in a hurry. And should you instead decide to rent your own car or bike while you're here, then there's a few things you do need to know up front. Be aware that the rental company will sometimes try to get your passport out of you. Don't give them the original, because at the end you may end up having a dispute, and you don't want to have that on your hands just as you go to fly out. So give them a copy. The other thing is, use your video camera and video any scratches or dents that you find on the bike or on the car. And this way you can prove to the rental company that this was not caused by you. Now, driving in the DR is a completely different thing than overseas. Here you don't have the same kind of rules, regulations, traffic enforcement. You've got to use your horn a lot, and you've got to keep an eye on the road when you are in dense traffic, because people just slam their brakes on at any given time. We're going to go for a little spin now through town and see what it's like. Now, driving in the DR can become quite a wild experience. During the daytime, you've got to pay attention to everything from trucks that slam their brakes with metal sticking out the back, especially taxi drivers, and the minibuses will just stop in the middle of the road or not pull over properly, so you've got to maneuver around them. In the night time, you've really got to pay attention, because you've got cattle crossing the road suddenly. Farmers here don't enclose their properties correctly, so you have to suddenly maneuver around a horse or a cow. Then we got motorcyclists who have no rear lights on. They probably could fix them for 50 to 100 pesos, but they just don't get around to it. But if you're the one that hits them, whoa, that could mean big trouble to you. And then we've got other motorists who won't lower their headlights, and you get blinded. This is a big menace here, and you're just going to either pull over or flick your lights really hard at them and hope that they'll lower it in the end of the day so you can see where you're going. When it comes to eating, of course you can stick around the resort and enjoy their food, but if you want to get a little bit more adventurous, there's a variety of restaurants here, and you've got the street and the beach food. Let's go and see what they got to offer. Just in case you're not familiar with a resort buffet, we're at the Casa Marina Resort in Sosua, and we've got to check out their spread for lunch here. Now check this food out and see how this tickles your taste buds. Absolutely scrumptious. Grande paella. Yeah, this is a dish from Spain, I know at least. Looks very delicious. Here we have the master, Americo, has made this delicious dish. Americo. Yeah. So tú eres especialista. Cocinero eso. ¿Y qué tú incluido y eso? I'm asking what he includes in this. Chicken, yeah. Mussels, yeah.
Camarón,
shrimp,
yeah.
lambi, pulpo. A lot of good seafood by the sound of it.
Carne de cerdo.
Carne de cerdo.
Y de res.
So, esa un
Paella completa.
comida de España. Yeah. Okay. Delicious. Gracias. Okay. Trying out a little bit of Creole cooking here. This is called gombo, chicken with special vegetables. And I'm gonna just mix it in here now. And put a little bit of beans with it. There we go. Bon provecho. So for Creole food, Tony runs the place. Oh, look at this here. Now if you're feeling snackish, you don't need to spend a lot of money. For about 60 pesos, you can have a nice toasted sandwich with a cup of coffee. Or if you want to swap it for a nice fresh juice, you can have that as well. Here we are with Oli Pollo. He serves the best barbecue chicken you're going to find in the streets, and he serves it with beautiful side salads, yuca and plantains, and different kinds of dressings. Absolutely delicious. And he's the #1 man here in the streets. All right. Every Thursday night, the expats flock into Germany Bar and Restaurant for the buffet dinner. Let's go and have a look what they got on the menu. We've got the great pleasure of being with an insurance expert here called Alex Routh. Alex, thanks for being with us.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Now, what I would like to hear is a little bit about, first of all, you and what you do insurance-wise, and then maybe you can give a few tips to potential travelers about travel insurance and health insurance when they go out roaming around.
Well, health insurance and travel insurance are two different things. There's 4 types of medical treatment: accidents, emergencies, elective medical surgery, and urgent medical surgery. So elective medical surgery, you might need a hip replacement or a knee replacement. You can suffer with it for years potentially, but you can elect to have it at any time. Urgent medical treatment, cancer, you're on a trip and you get diagnosed with cancer, your travel insurance is going to cover that. They're going to expect you to end your trip, organize your affairs, and return home to where you have medical insurance.
Right.
So you can commence treatment. The underlying assumption behind travel insurance is you have medical insurance to return to if you have a serious, urgent, or elective medical problem. It only covers you for accidents and emergencies, and it's not renewable. Medical insurance is renewable. So if you get cancer and it's always an annual contract, it's guaranteed to be renewable so you can continue your course of treatment.
Right. And if somebody has purchased their ticket with their credit card, what does that cover? And what doesn't it cover?
Well, typically it would cover accidents and emergencies, but you'd have to look at the policy. Policies can be very different. I remember I was at a travel insurance conference and they talked about an Irish fella that traveled from Dublin.
A little bit of sound here, that's part of DR.
The Irish citizen traveled through Dublin and he went through Heathrow to make his connection to wherever he was traveling. I think it was Thailand or someplace. And he went, boop, I forgot to buy travel insurance. So he bought it in Heathrow. But the snag there was that you had to have bought it before you departed. And he had a serious accident on a motorcycle costing thousands and thousands of dollars, and the travel insurance company denied his claim because he didn't buy it before he departed.
So the kind of insurance that you provide to people, does that cover?
Well, the type of travel insurance I sell is not restrictive in that way. You can buy it after you depart. And for example, if you're a Canadian like I am, all domestic Canadian insurance policies have a mandatory requirement that you be a member of your provincial medical insurance plan back home. And so if you're a Canadian expat and you want to buy travel insurance, what do? You're not a member. You can buy my travel insurance policy.
Okay, well, you have great visit to Sosua. I know you're up from the south coast, is that
Yes.
correct? And how long are you here for?
I'm here for 2 days, but I'm living here in the Dominican Republic as an expat, and I've been here for 2 years.
Well, it was lovely to meet you, and great to have you with us.
So the website for international medical insurance is protexplan.com.
Finally, on the topic of safe traveling, be aware that in the DR, as well as many other Caribbean, Central and South American countries, their pools don't have safety fences, so keep an extra good eye on your loved one. In general, in this region, they are not as safety conscious as we are back in more developed countries. So be aware of sharp concrete edges, metal sticking out, electrical wires hanging down, slippery tiles and surfaces. Always use your awareness. Don't take it for granted that somebody has thought of your safety for you, because that's not the case down here. But with that awareness, you will and can have a wonderful vacation. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this program, and I hope you'll watch the other programs coming up as well on YouTube. Now I'm going to go for a little spin on this baby. Hey guys and ladies, please don't forget to subscribe.